working? You want to say hi?
Hello?
Okay, so we were gonna pick up Tyler for this video. He won't answer. So, guess we are stuck with me and my bushy ass and my bestie. That's drive. Ooh. We're gonna cause a car crash today.
You just have to curb a little bit, and then you realize you're in the wrong gear. So it's fine.
So, ooh. You cannot do this today. Oh.
You have been stopped.
There. That's what we're doing. I might fix you.
Range Rover.
Ooh, pricey. Okay, so I don't know. But is it just me or is my music getting worse? I'm joking. I think it is getting a little better slowly over time, which is good, right? So eventually I'll be able to like record it and it'll be good. It'll be bougie. It'll be that expensive taste. Like the small little you know what I'm talking about? The little plates of like really expensive food.
Are you talking about like hors d'oeuvres?
No, like the entire meal is this little plate and it's like all fancy and it's like something you eat
anywhere
in a bite.
Away from America.
Anywhere.
Because American freaking serving sizes are freaking huge.
Yes, except like in the it's like the really bougie places have these little like plates and they're all fancy and drizzled with something.
2 bites.
Yeah.
2 bites.
And sometimes it's not even 2, it's like half a bite and it's like
well, that was
gone.
While it lasted.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, so you wanna know what my mother said to me?
Uh-oh.
I have something to rant about. So I think I grew kind of like in like the torso area, so like my torso got like taller, maybe my legs got longer, who knows? But I ended up losing weight around my stomach, right?
Yeah.
And I had just bought jeans. I was in, well, still am, in like a size 4, right?
Okay, I don't know what that is.
It's like
I know
yeah.
Women's sizings are fucking stupid.
Men's are like freaking 32, or is that like inner seam or like the like around?
That's the waist.
Oh. Anyway.
Well, I guess that depends, because we have more than just like, oh, it's 4, oh, it's 22. No, we go like outer seam, inner seam, waist.
Yeah, I get my jeans from American Eagle, and their sizing chart is like, so it's like a 4, which I'm not even sure like really what that means.
So 4. Oh.
And like there's like long, short, curvy, all that stuff. And anyway, I ended up like losing weight around my stomach. So like the back of my jeans, you have like that gap, kind of like between your back and the jean that goes around. And I show my mom, and she just laughs at me and says, "You need to gain some weight." I was beyond irritated. I'm like, yeah, thanks for the advice. Like, okay, I do not enjoy being told I need to gain weight at all, because I'm okay. I'm fine with how my body looks. I eat enough, and I'm not self-conscious about like calories either. I eat like shit. I haven't eaten a vegetable or a fruit in freaking years. Well, that's a bit, you know,
extreme, but oh shit.
I am proving a point. It's like that doesn't help me at all. What are you
fuck?
But that doesn't like help me at all. I was beyond irritated, and especially because like now my jeans like they get all bunchy kind of, so it's like that doesn't feel great. But if I got like a size like down, it'd probably be like really uncomfortably tight, and I like high-waisted jeans, so that's probably why it wasn't like fitting quite around there.
I like low-rise jeans because anything that high just is uncomfortable for me. And I was talking to Jennifer and I was like, they go too high, and Jennifer's just like, would you fucking...
This guy is driving like a jerk.
And I was like, I really don't like where they land. And she's like, Jericho, that's where jeans land. You need to get over it. And I'm like, not my jeans. And she's like, oh, you must have a low rise. I'm like, yeah. because anything that close to my belly button is uncomfortable.
So I know why I like high-rise jeans, and that's because I have like long legs for my body. So like where my like belt is now, that is the bottom of like where my belt is where my hip starts.
Lang. I am long. I am a long guy.
My legs are long.
Freaking Mrs. Elastigirl.
Oh, well, what can I say?
Did you hear the idea that maybe Mrs. Elastigirl was not actually thick?
Why do all Disney moms have the same shape? It's like a pear shape, kind of.
No, no, Luca. Luca looks like a fucking pineapple. Not Luca, but like his mom looks like a pineapple. That sounds mean, but it's true. Like
You really built like a pineapple.
You really built like a pineapple, but like Luca's parents are so much different than like the rest of like Disney, Pixar parents. And granted, it is just a Pixar movie if I remember correctly, but still, like, it's just weird, like, you know?
Yeah, it's like weird how like almost every Disney princess is skinny. Every, a good chunk of like Disney characters are skinny.
I would say Moana is probably the chubbiest.
I mean, I guess she's probably she doesn't have like a huge like shape, which I think is actually good because like considering how all of like the other Disney princesses are very like thin and small, which is I don't know why that's such a huge deal.
Like Ursula, who's like the fattest Disney villain I can think of.
Right, but they portray like the fat like character, and like they make her like portraying her as ugly.
Evil.
Yeah.
Whereas like, and then there's the lady from Princess and the Frog.
Mama Odie?
Yeah, her.
Yeah.
They portray her as like
she's insane, allegedly. You know what I mean?
She's blind, she's a witch, she does all this shit, and then like in today's, or at least here in this town, everybody's like, oh, that's not okay.
That's stigmatized.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
and it's like, look, we get it. You guys are psychotic and can't decide if you want more or less representation. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can shut the fuck up now, because we did not ask your ass if, yeah, like, seriously.
I wish that there was also more color diversity, which is, I haven't seen Encanto.
I haven't either.
I want to. But I think it's good that, they're actually like integrating like different sexualities and culture, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that's awesome, and they just need more like body shapes now.
Onward. I watched Onward with Jennifer, and
aren't those like the blue people?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a lesbian in there.
Which one is that?
It's one of the cops, but
okay.
I heard that and I just like died inside. I was like, ooh, we need to stop the tapes, because Jennifer, I honestly thought she was gonna be like, nope, that's enough, we're taking this away. She didn't, of course, but oof.
Well, especially in like, some religions where, like your God is telling you that, you love everybody, and yet you are portraying this character, like this person, you're excusing being an asshole to people because of your religion.
Yeah.
Which, it just comes down to being respectful. Respect what other people are. You know what I mean?
Like, I tried telling her, like, if you respect me, I will respect you.
Obviously.
And she's like, no, you should start with respecting people. And I'm like, of course, I agree. And she's like, and if they do something bad, you still need to respect them. And I'm like, no.
No.
Sorry,
no.
Queen, I don't do that.
Well, it's just, oh my God, it's just, especially, when people are like, witchcraft is a sin. Now I don't know about witchcraft, but I think it was like derived from like the Bible, wasn't it? Or like Christianity or something?
So, fun
some
fact.
religion, I don't know.
Jennifer actually believes in witchcraft because it's in the Bible.
Exactly.
And I'm sitting here like, yeah, makes sense. Like, because I wouldn't say she's a great example of a Christian, but she is a better example than most that I know.
Yeah.
Because she isn't afraid to, like, stand up for what she believes in.
Right.
And she believes it all for what it is. Except she misinterprets some things, or maybe I misinterpret some things, but either way, somebody's misinterpreting something, and I don't dislike Christians. I just think that if you're going to shove your religion in my face, I'm going to shove a knife up your throat. But don't take my word for that. Trying not to get demonetized. And implying I'm monetized, which is another lie. But like, you know.
Yeah, it has you know how like the pastor, is that who pastor? What's it like no, not reverend, freaking. Is it a pastor? Like the guy
Where?
In a church.
Which religion?
In Christianity.
Yes, it's
okay.
a pastor.
Pastor. Right. So they take like certain passages from the Bible. Has anyone in like a church read the entire Bible?
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually a very common practice.
Okay, good. I was making sure because I know that some people only take like certain things out of like the Bible and only preach part of it.
So
and stuff like that, and it's like
I do know people who do that, and I do not go to those churches when I'm forced to go to church for a reason, because that annoys me to hear that. My church I wouldn't say my church is fantastic about avoiding that, but I wouldn't say they do it to such an extent, right?
Okay.
Because every church does it at least once. It happens. And I don't think it's on purpose, but I do think that most people will get like, hey, you did that, and like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll try not to do it again. But there are some churches, if you go up to them, they'll block you on everything, and they'll literally cut contact with you. And sometimes, I know in more extreme cases, they'll just completely excommunicate you.
Yeah.
You know what that means, right? Okay, so it just, what is this person doing? It just annoys me that like people don't accept the fact that we make mistakes. Because like you make mistakes, you make them, great, it's good to know. But the second you start like
calling people out on it,
suddenly it's like, whoa, bro, what are you doing? Like you can't accept that. You need to work on that. I need to work on that. I understand I need to work on being okay with messing up every once in a while, because where I am right now, if somebody were to call me out on that, I'd be like, ooh.
Everyone's a work in progress, you know what I mean? So it's like, it makes sense, and accidents happen all the time, you know? You freaking, I don't know.
You just need to like, be like, okay.
You need to admit it and like, you know, work through it.
One stone under your tire will not throw you. A boulder under your tire might throw you. You know?
That'll crash your car.
Like, I just wish people would like understand you don't need to be perfect, because fucking my family treats me like I need to be perfect, and when I get those kind of comments from them, I'm always like, it's so hard not to flip out on them.
Exactly.
And they just like, why are you flipping out on me? Because you just,
it's like you're pushing what you think I need to be onto me, and it's just pushing me further away from what you want to be.
Yeah.
You, as you know, like a parental figure, you know, someone who takes care of you, your caregiver, whatever. Their job is to guide you and teach you that mistakes are okay. Yeah. All of that stuff.
Except when you start preventing them from making like important mistakes.
1 second. Hello. Hello. I have no idea. I have no idea. Okay, anyway, continue.
Like, when you start preventing people from making important mistakes that you should know, it stops being so much of like I love you, please don't do it, to a I love you, you're not going to do it. Like Jennifer won't let me date for a lot of reasons. I don't remember all of them because I've ignored that since day one, because I believe that it is good to get your heart broken once or twice.
Yeah, you need
However,
to learn.
when you start breaking people's hearts because you got your heart broken, that's when it goes from it's okay that you learned to that'll be enough, you need to stop. And I'd like to think I would be a better parent, I would be more supportive.
Yeah.
Knowing myself, I would probably accidentally repeat some mistakes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a perfect person.
Exactly.
I don't pretend to be a perfect person. So I would probably repeat some minor mistakes, maybe major. And I wouldn't just ignore the fact if a kid, my child, came up to me saying, oh, hey, by the way, I'd prefer you didn't do that. I wouldn't just be like, no, it's how it's done. No. If they would prefer I didn't do that and it's something that's actually okay I don't do, great, I'll cut it out for you. But maybe it wouldn't be best for, say, your brother or sister.
Right.
So I feel like parenting is really just about flexibility. You need to have like flexibility. Because Jennifer and I got into a huge argument because my truck wouldn't start on Sunday. She was like, no, you need to go to church because it's like, it's all this stuff, right? And she was like, no, because it's important you go to church because you need to connect with God. And I'm like, I
don't want to.
I don't want to. I don't believe I should. All this stuff. And she was like, no. And I'm like, okay, so why do I have to go if my truck won't start? I don't have a ride home. And she's like, well, we can come pick you up. And I'm like, church is done at 11. Yours doesn't get done till almost noon. That's an hour difference. Like, by the time it's 11:30, which is when theirs actually gets done, everybody's gone. Everybody's been gone. So she was like, fine, you can just ask Kenny, right? So I asked him, and he was like, okay. Like, was it that hard to like understand that my truck won't start, so I just won't go? Like,
yeah. Especially when you're being pushed to do something, you're gonna resent it way more.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh well.
Like, I was watching something on Trauma yesterday, and they were like talking about, because it was on It, right? And you know how Eddie has a mom that's so overbearing and just does everything for him, and it's codependency, and they need each other, right?
Yeah.
So Corona. So like, I feel like whenever I watch those scenes with Eddie and his mother, it always just makes me so annoyed because I just remember that's how my mother was. And then when she got high or went into like a rage, she hated everyone, and you couldn't leave because she said no, you weren't gonna come back, and it just stressed me out. So eventually, when I watched It, I was like, that's my mom. Ooh. So I'd avoid her like the plague, and I'd avoid those scenes even harder because I didn't want that reminder that my mom was a terrible person.
Right.
And she claims she's not. I claim she is because I lived with her and she was psychotic. But so I was looking at those, and they were like, you need to let your child make mistakes, you need to do all this. And I was like, yes, because it's healthy. And they're like, however, it does make sense that sometimes you keep them from doing things. And then they were like, but the more you force your child to do something, the more they'll want to push back, and later in life they'll probably resent it with every bone in their body.
Exactly.
And I was like, thank you. I wish Jennifer would fucking understand that. Like, I wish everybody would understand that.
Right.
You should never force a kid to do something, especially if they're not ready or they don't want to, because like Jennifer really wants me to have a connection with the Lord. And on one hand I get it, like she believes in her religion with every fiber of her being, but that doesn't mean I should go to church because you want me to believe it. Like the only reason I still go to church is because I have friends there. I avoid the sermon like the plague. I sit so far away from the fucking what do you call it?
Podium? Or
sanctuary.
Okay.
I sit so far away from the sanctuary I can barely hear it. It sounds like a muffle. So
yeah.
I just don't deal with it, right? And because when Jennifer and Kenny went there, I hated going into the sanctuary.
Exactly.
It just feels so...
You feel out of place?
Yeah, like as a gay mixed person with a mother figure and an absent father figure, I just feel like I am the epitome of I do not belong in a church. Like, you know, like...
Especially because, you know, you have people who hardcore interpret the way that they interpret some religions, especially, and they enforce it the way that they see it, and sometimes it's not the way it's meant to be interpreted, so it just kind of creates a stigma and stuff like that with, you know, certain things.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, if you're gonna make your child do something,
right,
at least ask them, like, do you want to do this? If it's not something they have to do,
right,
don't make them.
Exactly.
But if they say yes and like try to back out of it like 20 minutes before something, then I would agree. You should make them go through with it, because if you let your child go through life backing out of everything,
right,
they're gonna be a stressful person to be around. Like, they hate confrontation like I do. They just, like, you shouldn't let your kid back out of something. Now, my mother signed me up for a soccer team, okay? Without my permission, without my knowledge.
Yeah.
And one day, I heard my name on the radio as one of the kids who was gonna go play soccer, and we were going to a soccer event.
Oh, did she tell you that you were playing?
And I was like, Mom, why are we going? And she's like, oh, because you're playing. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And she's like, yes, you are. And I literally, like, I didn't even go play. I hid in the bathroom, I think, if I remember correctly. I hid in the bathroom for so long because I hated the idea that my mother did that. And I love soccer, right? That's probably not the right word. I do not despise soccer.
Right.
And I always remembered that, and that was the beginning of my trust issues with her. Because she wouldn't tell me shit until it was like 20 minutes before that something became relevant.
Right.
And so when I made plans, I always tried to tell her in advance. And one day, I hated that she was trying to do all that shit. One day, I made 3 months in advance of plans. I'm not joking. And I had a band, I had a play I was gonna practice for, I had all this shit because I wanted to be even a minute famous person, and I still do, right?
Yeah.
It's always been a dream of mine, and I come home one day, boxes everywhere, and she says, oh, we're moving to Glendive.
Oh.
Great. She's like, don't you want to be closer to your cousin? And I'm like, and I cried in my room for 2 hours.
Yeah. Your parents and your environment definitely have a lot of effect on how you are going to grow up.
Yeah.
My parents effed me up so much. And I didn't realize that until like maybe this past month.
Yeah.
Because I have awful issues with money. My parents, that is all they fought over, and my dad will, something my mom does. I got a pretty big sum of money from my dad. It was just for Christmas. I don't know why he did it, but he did. I didn't touch it. I don't like spending money. And my mom, I asked her to make like these peanut butter balls she makes. She said, okay, are you gonna go to the store? I'm like, well, I don't have money because I dislike spending my money so much. She's like, you can pay for it. I'm like, oh, hell no. And she tries to get me to pay for stuff now. It's like, Mom, you have no idea how much this stresses me out. Like, when I go shopping for places, I hate spending other people's money. I hate spending my own money. And my mom will be like, oh, well, you like spending my money. It's like, Mom, you are here to provide for me. And it's like once a year, maybe twice a year. And I try to keep it as low as possible. I needed new jeans. That is what I needed. And it ended up being like $150 around there for like 4 or 5 pairs of jeans. It's kind of a lot. Especially girl jeans are so expensive. But she's like, oh, well, you can pay for these boots. I got Doc Martens. I wanted to try them out, see if they're good. Apparently they're good for your like feet, posture, stuff like that. And I had paid for half of it, like pretty much, I think.
Yeah.
And because I ended up having like money from before, so I ended up having like a big bunch of money, kind of, and I have a bit on my card, and then the rest of it went in my bank account.
Yeah.
Because I am petrified of using money. And also, I have I think I have a commitment issue. Because when I think about being in a relationship, I am terrified I am going to turn out like my parents did. That is awful in my eyes.
See, so my family, my dad was almost never there. And when he was, he would make plans and then he'd go get drunk because I believe it was because he was so anxious to actually go through with those.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that my mother and my father were not taught good coping skills.
Right.
Especially because of the age they were born in.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, anxiety was just like, oh, so do something about it. And it was just such a, like, ooh, don't talk about that. And it would get so bad for, like my father is an extreme alcoholic. And every time he went drinking, he'd get drunk. And I mean shit-faced.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, he got drunk and went driving.
Yeah.
So he always got pulled over for DUIs, right? Like a normal person would. And my father was like, oh yeah, I'll be there in the morning. It was Christmas Day, I think. The night of Christmas Eve, maybe it was like the early morning, like 12 a.m. He got pulled over for drinking and driving. And to me, he's the reason I still hate Christmas. And, like, that makes me sound like the Grinch. I don't hate Christmas.
Right.
I wouldn't celebrate it if I had to. And I try not to celebrate it. So when I give people gifts, they're always like, oh yeah, thanks. And then, like, nobody understands that if I gave you a gift for Christmas after I moved here, it's not like oh yeah, you're somebody I know, you're somebody I like, no. It is so much more because I made him a gift and he never got it. I threw it in the trash and I never talked about it until I moved here. Because it stressed me out so bad.
Right.
because I was like, oh, we're gonna have so much fun, we're gonna do all of this, and then he just never showed up. And by 5 o'clock, I was told that he went to jail. 5 o'clock in the fucking afternoon, I went to bed, woke up at almost bedtime.
Yeah.
And then I slept again. And something about that just fucked me up so bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, he just disappeared off the face of the earth. And my sister was like, oh yeah, he's talking to me. I'm like, cool. Like, what do you want me to say? You're talking to the person who abandoned me for, what, 6+ years? No, thank you. And then she stopped talking to him, like, without a word. And I'm like, you see, you are the reason. Ooh, that was... I thought I broke something. And then I was like, you see, you are the... Like, people like my sister who just ghost you with no reason are the people that stress me out the most.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't tell me, it just stresses me out even more.
Right.
Like, if I cut communication, I think it's fine because I don't... Because I feel like I have a reason. But most people I talk to are like, oh, I just didn't feel like talking. And it's like... So you just... What, didn't? Like, you didn't even warn me. You just poofed.
Yeah.
Like, Albie did that to me for a couple months. And then I texted him. I was like, yo, Happy New Year's, biatch. I don't hate you. No hate sent yet. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, first of all, I have a song about you that I've been dying to release. Second of all, I have a huge crush on you, even after you ditched me for too long. And, like, yeah, so, no, I don't hate you yet. And then he was questioning me, like, what's the song about? And I'm like, and he's like, is it a hate song? And I'm like, no, quite the opposite. He's like, oh. And so I went and found it. It was in a notebook. I copied exact words straight into a file on my phone and sent him it. And he's like, oh, that's cute. And I'm like,
That's the point, kinda.
Yeah, like, it was a love song that I wrote for you way back when. And he's like, oh, yeah, you just disappeared on me.
I know something that completely effed me up. So there was a warrant out for my dad's arrest. He didn't do anything technically wrong. He just didn't listen to a judge. Which, this was about the divorce. So me and Quinn, we were over at my house, and my dad called me. He said, hey, I'm gonna come over, I'm gonna see you, right? I tell my mom, because that's what she told me to do, because there was a warrant out for his arrest at this point. And she said, I'll let you hug him, say goodbye, and then you're gonna go over to Quinn's, and I'm just gonna say you're gonna go over for dinner. So, my dad comes, I give him a hug, say goodbye, and then the cop pulls up. Yeah, we walk over to Quinn's house, and, sorry, I'm starting to cry. And then after that, I watched him get put away in cuffs. Yeah, something that fucked me up a lot. Yeah.
Bro, I'm so sorry. I feel like today we're just sharing a bunch of trauma.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, I need to get it out, because I will not talk about this with my mother. Oh, hell no. Because she'll just be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, and then she'll just go about her day. She'll probably tell Jody or something like that, and then everything will be all fine again. So it's like, yeah, that was traumatic. And I didn't even realize that until now. I've never been emotional about it until now. So yeah, there's that.
So, there was one day in 5th grade.
Yeah. Were you in Glendive at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, because I didn't come to Glendive until 3 days before my birthday, which is stressful for a kid. And
yeah.
And there was one point in 5th grade where I told my mom I was stressed out, and she's like, you're too young to be stressed. And, like, something about that, like, you should never invalidate a kid's emotions, especially if they say they're negative emotions. because that doesn't help. Like, my mom just randomly, like, I told her I was stressed, and she just like, you shouldn't be stressed at your age, and I'm like,
yeah.
Or no, her words were, you're too young to be stressed, and I like stopped. I was like,
Are you serious?
Joking? Like, when did you feel stressed first? And then, like, she wonders why, and then, like, there's all this shit, right? She never had a father figure for me. She made me feel like trash for years. And then my 6th grade year, I started, like, understanding, hey, I'm gay, I need to come to terms with this. So I came to terms with it before school started. So it was the summer before 6th grade, and I was like, great. So I told you and Hunter.
Right.
I don't care. I don't know who told Cherokee. Somebody told Cherokee. If it was you, okay. If it was Hunter, fine. But and then, like, 3 months later, everybody knew. Like, everybody in the school knew. And then, like, I was just like, fine, you know what? It's fine. It's great. We'll live with this. And then, just randomly, I, like, start panicking. Like, how do I tell my mom? So I text Chase, like you do. Because at the time, he was just the first person that came to mind when I needed advice or something. So I text Chase, and I'm like, how should I tell my mom I'm gay? And he's like, I don't know. And I was just like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. And I just got stressed and more stressed. So, because I had no other gay friends. I was the only gay I knew. I didn't even know any bisexuals that were, like, open with that. So, I literally had no one in my life to talk to.
Exactly.
Which fucking sucked. So, the next morning, this is why I don't let Jennifer go through my phone. Not because I'm hiding something or that I'm doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's because the next morning, my mom went through my phone, right? And I was planning on telling her before the end of the school year, right? And she grabs my phone because I'm nervous. Like, okay, I told you I've been stressed, I've been nervous, I've been a basket case for almost 2 years now. And she grabs my phone, and she goes through it. She finds the text where I'm like, how do I tell my mom? And she doesn't take this news well. She's like, you're gay? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, so you're gay? You think you're gay? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, well, you're not, and you should know that. And then she just bursts into tears, right? And she runs to the stairwell. And I think she's gonna go through my room, which would be a horrible idea, because my room was a mess, and I had so much shit that I didn't need her seeing that day. So I run straight to her, almost trip over her because she's bawling her eyes out on the stairs, right? And so she just sitting there, and my sister comes out of her room, looks up at her, and she's like, why are you crying? And she's like, your brother thinks he's gay. And I'm like, oh jeez, you really had to do that. Like, you couldn't just be like, I'll tell you later. Like, you had to say it while I was there. And then my sister runs up, jumps, I wouldn't say jump, but, like, steps over my mom, and she's like, so what's going on with that? And I'm just sitting here like, it's exactly what it sounds like. And she's like, oh, okay, well, I still love you. And I'm like, I doubt Mom does. And my mom takes us to school. She collects her composure, and right as I'm getting ready to come out of the car, she says, you need to tell everyone you're straight and that you were just confused. And I'm like,
I feel like I don't know what it's like to come out, but I feel like I would, oh my gosh, I would blow up a little bit, I think. I don't know.
Because I literally went from there straight to Miss Dimdar's, because I was already late. I didn't need more shit.
Yeah.
Like, I got my late pass, I went straight to Miss Dimdar's, and I wasn't like late. I was like a minute late. Kids were still outside of the hallway.
Yeah.
Or in the hallway, and they were still in, like, Miss Dimdar's wasn't even out of the meeting that morning. And Casey comes up to me and he's like, what's up? And I'm like, my mom found out, and everybody in my homeroom stops. I'm like, great, you all heard that. And everybody's like, are you okay? I'm like, she wants to talk after school. She wants me to tell everybody I'm straight. And like, I'm just numb at this point. I'm like, wow. So
yeah.
Then after school, she's like, were you exposed to porn? Was I a bad mother? And I'm like, excuse you? Like, I was like genuinely confused. Like, what the fuck's porn? Like, I knew what porn was. I just didn't know that was what it was called.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, like, she just starts questioning me, and I'm like, ooh, I would prefer you didn't do that.
Yeah.
And like, and she just was angry, and when I told Jennifer that, like, about that day, she was like, yeah, she was sad because she knew that we were right. And I'm sitting here like, excuse you? And she's like, we told her that you were gonna end up being gay, or end up thinking you were gay if she kept letting you do that shit. And I'm like, who the fuck decided that that's what was happening here? Like, excuse you? Like, damn. And like, I was like, I've known since I was 5. I started connecting the pieces when I was 10, and I came out as 11. And she's just like, yeah, well, you weren't born gay. And I'm like, you weren't born straight. And she's like, you're right, I chose it. And I'm like,
you don't choose
pardon?
what you're attracted to.
I was so confused. She's like, yeah, you do choose. And I'm like, so when did you choose? And she's like, I don't know, I don't remember. It wasn't an important day. And I'm like, sexuality is important. Like, it defines who you marry. Like, I get it. Some people don't label that shit. And I get it. I understand it. You don't need a label to know who you are. And we compartmentalize, like, everything. We make sure that we know who we are. And so that other people know. But, like, you don't have to label. And she just made it seem like I labeled things for attention, and I just like, and then she wonders why I don't trust her anymore, and I'm sitting here wondering
how she didn't see it.
Yeah, like, my mother, Jennifer, and Kenny, and Anthony all are like, why don't you trust us? And it's like,
why do you think,
what?
You know?
I forgot my blinker. Like, I was like, wow, you are really that oblivious. So, I don't know, like, how do people not understand you can't just, like, out someone? Like, that's not how that works. Like, it happens, and I hate that it happens. If I could stop that from happening, fucking hell I would, because nobody needs to go through that. And
especially like being threatened with it, you know. I think Nikki Tutorials she was forced to come out, and that was, I felt so bad because she was like threatened.
Oh, I thought they were strobing. I was like, what the fuck? So.
Watch out.
Oh, that's Jennifer.
Jennifer is everywhere.
Speaking of the devil, makes him appear. So yeah, I guess I just like never enjoyed the idea of.
Do you want me like duck or something?
No, it doesn't matter.
She's smiling. Did you see her?
Yeah.
She was like, ugh, I don't know.
And then there was Charlie's mom with her, so. Because I told you they were going for lunch. But like. I just don't get how my family questions why I don't trust them. Like, it's obvious why I don't trust you, because you made me feel like trash, and I tried to deal with that for multiple years. And I told Jennifer, I was like, you made me feel like shit, pure shit. And she's like, how did I do that? And I'm sitting here like, what? Like, you really don't see how you did that?
Yeah.
Okay, well then, like, you ignored my feelings, you told me I was doing things for attention, you did all of this shit, you tried to fix the fact I was gay, and you still have the audacity to question why I don't trust you.
It's sad how people are stuck in the way that they think. And then they try to blame it on something else. It's like, oh, well, this is how I was raised. This is how I was born. It's like,
And then there's Betty White, who...
She was amazing. I love that lady.
I feel like Betty White was the perfect example of your excuse of I was born in a different generation, I can't help it, is flat out bullshit. Because you know it, I know it, we both know it, and yet you pretend like it's nothing, pointless, garbage, I don't know. But you really have the audacity to be like, I'm sorry, I can't help it, I was born in a different generation. And then there's people like Betty White who she literally was like, she was supportive of gays, blacks, everyone who respected her, which was a lot of people now. And then she didn't have children, and she had an astounding amount of self-esteem. She really didn't care. And then there are people like Jennifer who are like, I'm sorry, I was born in a different generation. When I was around, that wasn't a common thing. And I'm sitting here like looking at the pictures of that fashion from that time. And it makes me look real modest. Like, dudes were wearing crop tops and short shorts, and as much as I want to do that and not pull out a giant Titanic boa from my pants, that is the epitome of, like, it really doesn't do anything for us.
Exactly. Environment shapes you into, like, who you are, and it kind of comes down to, like, who you grew up around.
Yeah.
I get that, but when you are told that something is wrong and the majority rules over the minority, it's so weird how influence and money and power and just ideals take over kind of everything. Because, you know, Nazi Germany, for Lord's sake, that was a minority that turned into the majority. That was intense, and people deny it happened. Which I think
is
being in denial.
Really stupid.
It's something
Look at the numbers, please.
Exactly. There was evidence of it and stuff like that, and I get being in denial that this is what happened, but at the end of the day, you should have to come to terms with that.
Yeah. Like, and then there are people who just like, they just ignore numbers, like facts, physical facts. They just wipe them off the board like they never happened. And for me, I would honestly say that's a you problem. You need to work on that.
when people say it's okay, use an example here, it's not all men. The people who get pissed off by that are the ones who obviously have those ideals. That's like the complete opposite, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's serial killers, rapists, stuff like that.
And then
it was girls.
Yeah.
Eileen Wuornos, you know, all those people. But, numbers, you know what I mean? So it's like, you need to kind of make sure you do not raise your kids in an awful environment, because they will turn out.
Yeah.
Most of the time, not all the time.
If you ask me, I probably wouldn't let my kid have access to a phone until he's 16, or she is 16. For the sole fact that I feel like there's just so much, and if I do give them a phone, I am not gonna let them have a phone with access to the internet, not complete access at least. And I know I hate it because I was given a phone, and then I was given a phone with the internet, and then like a year after, all of my connections with the internet almost got completely wiped out. That's annoying. However, if I give my child a phone, I'm going to have a phone that allows text and call, and I'm going to have a phone that like has unlimited text and call. Nothing more for like the first year.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's. Hold on, we're gonna pull over and check. But like until I know they're mature enough to not send shit and go looking for shit, I will not give them unlimited internet.
I know where you're coming from, and I get that. But I would let my kid have a phone for the sole purpose of the fact that that's all that there is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like they're gonna be around internet their whole lives, at least probably. So it's like I want them to be able to navigate.
Yeah.
And see how to deal with certain situations and stuff like that.
I would pull back on the restrictions, right? Start out with text and call. That's it. If they're open with who they're texting and who they're calling with, great. Let's give them something else. If they're looking up porn and I told them not to, or I told them to let me know or something, and they don't, then I'm going to pull back. Like, I'm gonna give you so much, show me you're ready, and I'll pull back the reins. Show me you're not ready, and I'll tighten them.
I see that. I get, it's just, you need to show your kids how to be, like, safe with the internet. You know, if you text people online, stuff like that, just don't give out your information. Nothing like that. And if someone is threatening you, let me know.
Yeah.
Then we can, figure this out. Because
I want you to trust me.
Exactly. I don't know. I feel like,
I feel like part of the reason I have gone through so much shit is because I didn't trust my family.
Exactly.
Because my family just ignored everything I said. And they discounted it. They were like, oh no, you're not. It's not. They're not. Everything's fine. You're over-exaggerating. You need to do your school. And it's like,
You need, when parents put a huge amount of pressure on, like, schoolwork and stuff, which I get. I want my kids to succeed and have, but it's, at the end of the day, I'm not going to punish my kid for getting an F for not understanding something. As long as they give it their best, I will try to help them as much as I can.
Yeah, I genuinely, we get it. You want your kids to pass. We want all of this stuff for our kids because we want them to succeed in life. But you got to give it an understanding. I'm failing geometry because I do not understand.
Exactly.
I'm passing biology because I'm using my resources, and my resources are helping me. If you're gonna say you're not doing well enough, you need to do better, you're not doing
what you
you're
could
not
do.
Using your resources, you're not doing this
good enough,
so we're taking this. No, the reason I'm not doing well is because they're not teaching me well. The reason I don't see well is because I wasn't given the right pair of glasses. All of this shit, right? And when parents say, oh no, you're just over exaggerating, or no, you're doing this, no.
Especially when you're doing it wrong, when you're allegedly doing something
right,
wrong.
You're doing it wrong. Like, I am doing exactly what you fucking told me.
Mm-hmm. Or when you're being told you're doing something wrong, it's like, obviously this isn't working, so help me see another way.
Yeah, like, especially when people are like, oh no, I did it like that for years. And then when parents don't, like, take extra advice, like, what about doing this? This might help.
Yeah.
They're like, no, it's how I've done it for years and it never failed me. And I'm sitting here like,
math is the same as it's always been. No, it's not, sweetie.
Common Core.
It is not.
Common Core versus, good education system. They're not the same, honey.
Exactly.
Like, and then parents try to help when they don't know what they're doing and just sitting here like,
I can see you're like watching your parents try and you're like, see, it's not as easy as it looks, is it?
and they're like, shh, don't correct me, I'm right.
Exactly. It's like,
and then they're like, just submit that, you'll get an A. And then you come back home with like a D and they're like,
well, what did I do wrong? Your teacher's doing it incorrectly.
You changed the answer. See, the answer's right there. And it's like, bruh.
It's not, though.
Yeah, so, I don't know. But so I feel like we've had a good episode today.
Intense.
Yeah.